Hello and welcome to another episode of Marie's Bundesliga Minutes. The Bundesliga, as you know, is off season, so I thought I would focus on the Euros. And to do that, for this special episode, we're gonna speed date the Germany squad. What do I mean by that? Well, most of these players are taken, unfortunately, in case any of you are interested in them. But I thought that in 30 seconds or less, I would introduce you to some of the players. So we're gonna go chronologically by the number on the back of their jersey. And as you may have guessed, we're starting with the captain, Manuel Neuer, who is number 1. Manuel Neuer played his first World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, and he almost missed that tournament. He was not supposed to be the number 1. René Adler, who has since retired and was with Hamburger SV and Leverkusen earlier in his career, was supposed to be number 1. Manuel Neuer became famous and infamous in England when he, in the quarterfinal against England, pretended that a goal that had crossed the line had not crossed the line and kept up the play. Number 2, we have Antonio Rüdiger. Antonio Rüdiger started his career at Stuttgart in Germany and very bravely went to Rome very early on in his career, in his early 20s. There he became much more outspoken and actually started addressing the issue of racism in Serie A. He's now at Chelsea, as you know, and has recently won the Champions League. Marcel Halstenberger. Halstenberg is at RB Leipzig. He is probably not going to play a big role in the Euros, but he's a very reliable fullback and he has done well under every coach that Leipzig has had and will probably continue to do so. Matthias Ginter is the captain of Gladbach and therefore has many famous colleagues in his team, including Marcus Thuram, Breel Embolo, one of whom just kicked out the other, Jan Sommer, and two other members of this Germany squad. He is very good at attacking headers and defensive headers and is reliable but not a very spectacular player. Mats Hummels. Well, what can we say about Mats Hummels? It looked like he was never going to return to the Germany squad after the last World Cup, where he looked spectacularly slow against Mexico and South Korea and was then kind of blamed for the bad performance when Joachim Löw essentially threw him out and said that he would never call him back. Now he is back and he's the undisputed chief of central defense, and he's a fan favorite for returning to Dortmund, his boyhood club, from Bayern Munich. Joshua Kimmich. Well, the predestined captain of the future for Germany and Bayern Munich. You may not know that Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka, during the pandemic, very early on in March and April of that first eventful spring, started the We Kick Corona campaign, where they raised more than 5 million euros, and it basically became a pot of money that German local initiatives could apply for to do on-the-ground help for very fragile and vulnerable communities. So great initiative from him. A lot of famous athletes participated, including Alexander Zverev and a lot of former footballers like Mats Hummels. So go Kimmich. Kai Havertz. Well. Since very early on in his career, I mean, he debuted in the Bundesliga with Leverkusen when he was 17. Havertz was compared to some of Germany's best. It was easy to see the comparisons with Mesut Özil early on. After all, he was a number 10. But at a height of 190, actually comparisons to Michael Ballack, in my opinion, are much more astute. Both of them are good headers, very domineering figures in central attack, and Kai Havertz, having scored 2 goals in the group stage, is currently Germany's most prolific scorer of the tournament. Toni Kroos. Well, Toni Kroos became even more famous in Germany when a movie about his life was released on Amazon Prime last summer. The movie charted not only his life in Madrid with his 4 children, but also his foundation for sick children, and it showed the very personal, fragile side of this cold-blooded German, and it showed that actually at his wedding to Jessica Kroos, they met on the Spanish island of Fuerteventura. At his wedding he made a song for Jessica. He wrote a song, played it on the guitar and cried. Kevin Volland plays for AS Monaco in France and has scored 21 goals in the past season. It's a little bit of a mystery why Joachim Löw hasn't nominated him in this long, because he could be the number 9 that Germany has been looking for years to come. For years past, I should say. Serge Gnabry is a bit of a late bloomer. He made his debut for Arsenal in the Champions League against Schalke in 2012, but never really broke through at Arsenal, and only became famous to Arsenal fans when he scored many goals against them for Bayern Munich in the Champions League. He had his breakthrough at the Olympic Games in 2016, where he went all the way to the final with Germany, where they lost in penalty kicks against Brazil, the hosts. Timo Werner. Well, I don't want to rub salt in the wounds, because all of you will have a pre-formed opinion about Timo Werner as well already. So let me just start by saying that he comes from the Stuttgart youth system, and in the youth ranks there he played with the aforementioned Serge Gnabry and Joshua Kimmich at a very early age. And he started as a left winger. Of course now he's more of a central attacker, but actually both Lampard and Tuchel have occasionally used him as a left winger for Chelsea. Bernd Leno. To me, he's kind of the most dull member of the Germany squad. I'm sorry if that's a little bit insulting. The one thing you should know about Bernd Leno is that he's had a rivalry with Marc-André ter Stegen since the youth ranks. They played for Germany under 21 together, and it was always going between one or two of them. Of course, eventually ter Stegen, as you can imagine, won out. And they really don't like each other. So it's perhaps to Leno's luck that ter Stegen couldn't make this tournament, which again freed up a spot for him. Jonas Hoffmann is an attacking player for Gladbach. He's a good dribbler, he's very fast, and unfortunately for him, because of the squad expansion from 23 to 26, for these Euros COVID related, the coaches have to cut their matchday squad to 23 regardless, and he's often been cut, so you probably won't see him. Jamal Musiala, the Bayern Munich starlet, is still a teenager. He's the youngest member of the Germany squad. He can do just about anything on the ball. He's two-footed. He can score from distance. He can pass the ball at short distance. And he actually played in the youth ranks for England with Jude Bellingham. So he only recently decided that he would play for the country of his mother, which is Germany. So good for Germany. Niklas Süle, the Bayern Munich defender, has had some issues with his weight, unfortunately, over the years, to the extent that he was mocked by the president of his own club during the coronavirus pandemic. And, you know, how can you not like him? Because who didn't put on a little bit of weight during the coronavirus pandemic? Lukas Klostermann is another fullback for Leipzig, and he's as interesting, by which I mean not very interesting at all, as Marcel Halstenberg. And he's probably not going to play any games, so let's not dwell on him. Florian Neuhaus will very likely join Bayern Munich at some point. His style is comparable to Leon Goretzka in that they both are tall but technically gifted central midfielders who like to score and shoot from a distance outside of the area. A very promising player. Leon Goretzka is he's been called like the president of Germany because he has met Auschwitz survivors. He has talked about AfD, Germany's right-wing party, and at the last group stage match against Hungary, after he came on as a substitute and immediately scored the all-important 2-2 goal, he pointed a little heart at the neo-Nazi fans on the Hungarian ranks. So Goretzka, a very intelligent player. Leroy Sané, as we all know, he missed the last World Cup, and he's had a somewhat tragic career in the German national team so far. He actually made his debut in November of 2015 in France, which could have been very moving for him because he has French heritage. However, that was the game where they had the Parisian terror attacks, and he, alongside the rest of the Germany squad, got locked into the stadium and had to stay there overnight, sleeping in the locker room of their on the floor of their locker room. So let's hope that, you know, his career takes a turn, because he hasn't shown his full potential in a Germany jersey yet. Robin Gosens became very popular in the game against Portugal, where he set up 2 goals and scored another one. He plays for Atalanta Bergamo in Italy, living the good life. And he's kind of the impersonation of every little boy's dream come true, showing that it's never too late. He played in the lower ranks of German amateur soccer until he was 20, then was spotted at a game by a Dutch scout who actually had traveled to the game to see a different player, and he moved to Heracles Almelo, a world famous club, as you can all imagine, in the Dutch league, and there he performed so well that he earned his move to the Serie A and is now being chased by half of Europe because he's a left back. İlkay Gündoğan, wonderful player, technically astute, is always fighting for his position in central midfield against Toni Kroos, İlkay Gündoğan, so that's him, Toni Kroos, Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka. And I'm not going to say anything else because you all know everything about him. Kevin Trapp, he is dating a Victoria's Secret model, Isabel Goulart, the Brazilian. So that's kind of the flashiest thing you should know about him. He played for Paris for 2 years, but eventually returned to his boyhood club of Eintracht Frankfurt, where he's done very well ever since. Emre Can. He has his own H&M collection in Germany, is very fashion conscious, loves the good life, and grew up in what we call in Germany as a street footballer. So playing in local courts, joining an academy very late. He joined Frankfurt's academy when he was 14, then was signed up by Bayern Munich a few years later. Can play just about anywhere in midfield or in defense. Robin Koch, he went from Freiburg, which is Joachim Löw's favorite club, where he had his career, and so many of these players have some kind of Freiburg past or presence, to Leeds last season. Had a shaky first season, but still very young. Also is being left out and of the matchday squad on many occasions. The future is his, the present not so much. Thomas Müller has never ever scored a goal in the Euros. Although he's the second highest German World Cup scorer after Miroslav Klose, he still has to deliver on that in the Euros. Christian Günther plays as a fullback for Freiburg and is very attacking minded, also hardly ever makes a matchday squad. And you know, that's all we have for today. I hope you enjoyed speed dating the Germany team and were able to learn a little bit more about the players. Even, you know, we'll see how far these players take Germany in the tournament, but if not, you know, just tune back into the Bundesliga to see them all, at least some of them, the ones that play in Germany. And I hope to catch you soon on Marie's Bundesliga Minutes.